Hello and good day, students. Today we're going to discuss writing drama, which is the last lesson for our semester in creative writing. So let's get on to our main subject, which is what is drama. Let's first define what our topic is for today. So drama in literature is a portrayal of fictional or non-fictional events through the performance of a written dialogue. Now, this may seem complicated, but all it is entirely performing a script, okay, which we are going to learn how to write today. So, performing a script, when that is done in any context, it is a drama. So dramas can be performed in different mediums. It can be performed on stage, on film, or on the radio. And even though the radio dramas have been phased out, they are still quite popular. And you can see a revival of them um, mostly on online platforms like Spotify or Anchor or Apple Music or Apple Radio. So you can the radio drama is not being phased out as we think it is. No? So dramas are typically called plays. So if you perform a drama or a speech written specifically for a drama, it is or a play on stage, it is called a play. So if you are a creator of drama, you are either called a playwright or a dramatist. Okay? So that is the definition of drama. So we have elements of drama, of course. Different things have different elements. These are what make up drama. To take note that uh, there are elements of drama that are similar to the elements of prose and to the elements of poetry, especially if you look at the basic elements of fiction, which are characters, settings, plot. I did not include those in this list because we already spent a lot of time looking at those or studying those elements. So these are the elements of drama that are unique to drama. Okay, so first is atmosphere. Okay, the atmosphere is the interaction between the audience and the mood of the drama performance. So this is what we try to set. We can set this using music or lighting or sound effects, and it creates this interaction or it creates this feeling that you want your audience to feel. It's essentially the vibe of the scene or the drama itself, especially if your role play is a thriller, you have to play ominous or kind of scary music. If it's a comedy, you play light-hearted music. If it's a romance, you play sort of a romantic type of music. But that's music is only one of the things you can use. Again, you can use lighting, you can use sound effects. So atmosphere will really establish that mood that the audience will feel so that they can relate to the acting that's happening on stage. Next is the character. Again, I told you that these are unique, but characters in drama are most likely different from the writing for characters in drama will have most likely difference, uh, not very big, but it's still a difference from characters in a story, because characters in a drama, um, unlike on a written page, they need to have dimensions. They need to have certain personal qualities or histories. They need to have facial expressions, and they need to have costumes and props. So a character in drama can be written very differently from a character in a story. So you need to take that in mind. So we already know this, flat characters demonstrate a lack of depth or change in a course of a drama event. Usually these are tertiary characters or characters that are not so important to the story. Next, dramatic tension. The dramatic tension rather, it drives the drama and keeps an audience interested. The tension comes when opposing characters, dramatic action, ideas, attitudes, or values, emotions, and desires are in conflict, creating a problem that needs to be resolved. So this is quite the equivalent of conflict in story. So the dramatic tension needs to be there. There always needs to be some reason for the drama or for the characters in the drama to be moving forward. Okay, so likewise in writing a plot for a story, we really need this type of element or this dramatic tension to keep our audience interested. Siguro naman nangyayari yan sa inyo if you watch a story or if you watch a movie that's boring, you tend to turn it off or to ignore it, or you don't pay much attention to it. So dramatic tension will make sure that your audience keeps their attention uh, on what they are watching. Okay. Next is mood. So this describes the feelings and attitude often combined of the role or characters involved in dramatic action, often supported by other elements as well as design elements. So this is similar to the atmosphere, but this is mostly involved with the characters and how they portray. Okay, their mood, their emotions, and their actions throughout the story that brings out the mood of the scene or the drama itself. Next, relationships. So these are the connections between two or more characters or character roles. Okay, so the relationships between characters is important because this is how we see how certain this is what dictates rather how certain characters interact with one another. They are if they are friends, of course, they interact in a friendly way. If they are enemies, they interact antagonistically to one another. So these relationships will really dictate how they act or how they interact with one another. Okay. Roles. So a role can present in can a performer can present in a performance a role that represents an abstract concept, stereotype figure, or a person reduced to a particular dominant trait. Okay. So this is essentially who their character is. Their role is essentially who their character is, and what how they play, what role or what contribution they have to the progression of the story. So that's the role. Okay. Next is the situation. This is the circumstance in which a character or characters are presented, often opening of a performance. So the situation is a sort of a combination between the setting and the conflict of a story. So this is what happens within the play or the script where that ignites or that begins the story. Okay. So next is space. This is the otherwise known as the set. Okay, this is uh, where we where we put the props, the background, the set dressings. So this is essentially what we present to the audience, okay, where the characters will move. Okay, so space is important because it needs to be in line with the situation. It needs to be in line with the setting or the dramatic tension. So that's space, no? Next is time. Time also reflects the changes with time is any time of the day. We'll see later when we see a sample script that it is important for us to indicate time because that affects lighting, that affects set dressing. Of course, props from a drama set in 2001 will be different from props in a drama set in 2021. So those things are important, especially if you want to create a very accurate and very detail-oriented type of drama. No, props here are sorry, props, time here also reflects changes within a scene or a drama event, for the changing from day to night, the changing from winter to summer, that uh, that dictates, often changes in emotion, changes in scene. So uh, time affects things like lighting, set dressing, props, costuming. So we really need to be considerate of time as well. Okay. So now let's look at script writing. So we have different steps in script writing. So let's look at that, um, as we go on. Okay. So first, script writing is the process of writing stories in a screenplay medium. Script writing is writing down the movement, action, expression, and dialogue of the characters in screenplay or screenplay format. Okay, or in script format. So we have screenplays. There are different types of scripts. We have screenplays, playwriting, which is for plays, audio drama, which is for radio, and news scripts. Of course, we have what are called news scripts that are read through a teleprompter. Um, these are just usually outlines and other spiels of what is happening in the news. Okay, other scripts can be either for video games, education films, online content. Believe it or not, so I know some vloggers from there are some vloggers from America and the UK where they have, it's not a script but more of an outline of the vlog that they're going to do, because after they have filmed, they need to write down an outline of what they want to highlight and what they want to edit in. So that's really an essential part of their vlogging process. So those are the types of scripts that we can encounter throughout script writing. Okay, so how do we write a script? So first is write a log line. A log line is a single sentence that answers the question, what is my story about? This is essentially a one sentence synopsis, a very short summary of what your film or what your play is going to be about. The log line can be revised as you work towards the final script of your play. So hindi po tayo set in stone when it comes to our logline. It's just a way to give us that central idea and to give us that, um, how you say, to give us that goal where or that reminder that, oh, this is what I'm writing about. Okay, so I recommend we write a log line before we start on the script itself. Next, create an outline. So I say this for almost every lesson, but writing demands an outline. So before we start writing, we have to plan out what happens in the script, the main events of we need to write out the main events, what happens. Each event should be a single short sentence. For example, Danny gets shot in the leg. That's as detailed as your outline can be. So we have these major events in a story that we can now write into a script. Next, write your script. We'll look at the format of the script later on. But remember, when we are writing a script, show, don't tell. So you can do this using lighting, sets, costume, the acting itself. Okay, and always write in present tense. Next, adhere to proper formatting. We'll have different formats for different uh, industries or different companies. They have their own formats, but later on we'll see a standard format that is being used uh, almost universally throughout script writing. Try not to do too much editing while you write. Okay, so while you're writing, don't edit too much because there will be time to edit that later. For now, focus on writing the story. Right? Focus on writing the script and and which brings us to the last one, the last point of writing a script is let your ideas flow, then structure them once you got everything on the page. So just write until you can, and then we can edit afterwards. Okay? So format your script. So script templates are easy to find online. I personally have script templates saved to my computer or to my G Drive whenever I want to write a script. It's there. Um, uh, Again, the type of script I'm going to be showing you later, or the format rather of the script I'm showing you later, is somewhat universal in script writing. So we don't really have to worry about the format. No. So format your script or paste it to the format that you'd like to use. And of course, like I said, this is after writing that's and formatting, that's when you're going to edit. It's important to edit after you formatted your script. That way, it's more efficient and you can actually see the flow of the story before you start editing. Because once everything is formatted, you get a good sense of the flow of the story and the actions and the dialogue, and that way after you edit after you have formatted your script, the editing will be it's like you're editing the real show itself or the real play itself. You get a good sense of how long it's going to be and a good sense of what's going to happen or the overall you get an overall visualization of the play. No, that's why we edit after we format. Okay? So that's how we write the steps in writing a script. So what are the useful terms or parts of a script? So this is the last part of our lesson. So these useful terms in writing a script. These are essentially filming terms or what we call script markers. Okay, parts of a script where we indicate things like place and time, interior or exterior, even camera position if you're making a movie. So let's look at the first is the scene header. Also known as the slug line, a scene heading appears at the top of each new scene and includes the following information: exterior or interior. So here we have interior, INT, Jim's house, day. So as you can see, the slug line contains um, uh, whether it is interior or exterior, or the uh, interior or exterior, the place and the time. So usually this is just day or night or afternoon, as we can see here, or it can be a specific time if you're using time markers in your scene. If you have like a visible clock, it can be like 8 a.m., 8:42 p.m., things like that. So that's the scene header. This is important again so that people who are following the script, tech, and all of that, they can see or they have an idea of how to set the lighting, how to set the props, how to set the background itself. Okay. Next, we have the action line. Action lines describe what a character is doing in a scene. So usually a character, usually it has what we call asterisk here in the example here, or in this image example we have the name. Sometimes the action line has some description and their action. So again, the action line needs to contain an action. So African American man walks down the sidewalk talking on his phone. So that's the action line. So Joshua breaks the window with a bat. That's Joshua's action or the character Joshua. It shows what a character is doing or what their actions are at the beginning or during the dialogue of a scene. So action lines are usually put um, or integrated within the dialogue. We'll see that later. So next is a parenthetical. So a parenthetical is a small direction included before a character's line that suggests how the line should be delivered. Okay, so Josh looks at Aaron. What are you doing? So this directs that the character Josh, should be looking at the character Aaron while saying, "What are you doing?" So this part here is a parenthetical. So we can see because it's called a parenthetical, it has parentheses. But not all, this is where it becomes confusing. Not all parentheticals are uh, are in parentheses usually, or sometimes they just come before the character dialogue, so be mindful of that as well. So here it says that Jack in Vietnamese subtitled. So will Jack, the character Jack, will see these will sorry will say these words in Vietnamese, or a translation of these words in Vietnamese. Next, the dialogue. Of course, the dialogue is the characters or the actors' lines, what their character is saying. Okay, so in drama or writing script, we don't have to be, especially in performing, we don't have to be too strict on what the characters say, as long as they have practiced and they know the objective of that line or the objective of that scene. We can usually let them ad lib, as long as they don't stray too far from what the character is supposed to say. So so this is the dialogue here. Did you know brick and steel are retired? Okay, so we have here next is transition. This happens at the last part of the scene for a script. So usually in plays, this is when the curtain shot. Here in screenplay, it says cut to. It means that the scene is going to change to the next scene. Here it can see fade in, fade out, dissolve to, different using it depends on the transition or the effects of transition you want to use. So here we have a excuse me. Here we have an example of a script, a short example of the script showing the different useful terms or the different parts. So we have the scene heading. We can see here the scene heading or the scene header, the action, what they're doing, or their actions before they start talking. Next is the character, of course. We have Jack here, the name of the character who's going to be saying those lines. The parenthetical, as you can see here, the dialogue, and the transition here. Okay, so this is how a script is usually formatted, and this is the usual format that we follow when writing a script. So that is it for our lesson. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening. Always sort of when writing a script, always be mindful of important things, especially the time, the setting, the dialogue. Um, those things interact with one another. So if you have any questions or clarifications about this lesson, you may contact me, or you may use my slides as reference. Again, this will be part of our exam. So if you're not watching this video, I do hope that you are studying the slides. So that's all for today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.